everyone. We are at Cannabis Expo in Montreal, Quebec. We're joined by Sasha from Weedsense. Sasha, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. So Sasha, would love to hear more about Weedsense and what you do.
So Weedsense is a sister company to our core asset, which is Beautysense.ca. Beautysense is a distributor of professional cosmetic and beauty products in Canada, probably one of the largest. And we saw how the consumer market was going in the US towards infused cannabis topicals and beauty products. So within our core category, and we foresaw that in the Canadian space, it would be a market that would grow as well. If you want to touch those products that are infused with cannabis in Canada, you need a license. The license that would apply to us would be a processing license and likely a federal medical sales license, both of which we've applied for. And after the May changes at Health Canada, we received a status update, so we're ready to build our facility in Pointe-Claire, Quebec.
It's very exciting. And so how does your beauty business interact with the cannabis business? Are there shared learnings? Is the platform the same?
I mean, all the backend can be the same in terms of reporting. You can use all the same software. The staff is not interchangeable necessarily, given that there are restrictions from Health Canada that you need a QAP and so on and so forth. Most beauty products we can warehouse wherever. We don't have to follow. In our case, we would gun for EU GMP compliance. So those are not restrictions in the traditional distribution of beauty and cosmetic products. But what is interchangeable or what is usable from the core Beautysense business is our database of 50,000 plus active clients. And these are clients that when we polled them would be interested in either trying or using on a regular basis cannabis-infused products.
Neat. And so is your play going to be distribution to retailers, direct to consumer, and how does that work in the regulated market in Canada?
So if you look at the legislation and you look at the regulatory framework between the federal and provincial level and what you can do with a processing license and what you can do with a federal medical sales license, we can do a variety of things. So on a direct-to-consumer basis, assuming the patients hold their RX with us, we can act on a D2C basis. So we can take inventory and actually touch it and warehouse it from any LP or any production facility. On a B2B basis, we can take that inventory and distribute it directly to the patient, and that could be any product. It doesn't have to be a topical or cosmetic or a beauty product. It could be dried flower, it could be an oil, it could be what have you. We can also act as a wholesaler, so dealing with the same producers, cultivators. We can take their product and subsequently distribute it to the provincial wholesalers, be it the SQDC or the OCS or whoever it may be. There's very few people doing that in the market today, and we believe that is something that is grossly lacking within the infrastructure of the cannabis market today, are the middleman distributors that are prevalent in any business that cannabis has been parallel to in the last 5 years, whether it's pharma, alcohol and tobacco, or potentially in the beauty and cosmetic business. There's always a distributor. So the farm to table model that has been adopted and that's being implemented, in our opinion, is not necessarily the most efficient, and we don't think that the end customer is being served in the best fashion possible.
Sasha, you've got lots of opinions, which I appreciate. I love your opinions.
I do have opinions.
And
there
so,
should be a disclaimer.
Yeah, we'll put it on. And so my question to you:
forward-looking statements.
What's the one thing that LPs are doing now, or businesses in the space are doing now, that you don't think they should be doing?
They're spread too thin. They're really not. It's a broad generalization, but most firms are attempting to be vertically integrated when they probably should not be. In the US, they have a different approach, a much less regulated approach, which could backfire, as we've seen recently with certain headlines. But the market is more open to people specializing within their core competency. So if cultivation operation X is like really good at cultivating, they've been doing it for years and they crossed over from the black market, that doesn't mean that they're really good at processing. It's a completely different set of skill sets. And that doesn't mean that they're terribly competent at branding, marketing, dealing with distributors, or dealing with the provincial wholesalers who, put a tremendous amount of red tape in front of their vendors. That's what I think is the biggest problem, is a lack of focus. But that could be applied to any startup.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I guess to end off on a more positive note, what do you think the biggest opportunity is? I'm sure you're going to say wholesaling, but beyond that, where do you see opportunities that maybe companies aren't paying enough attention to?
So I think the landscape is relatively well served in terms of chatter, headlines, ideas, but I really think that the largest opportunity for the Canadian cannabis industry is the first mover advantage of having a federal framework that can be exported. That in and of itself, from a body of legislative work, is extremely valuable, and it's not finished, and it is being exported slowly but surely. But building on the theme of exports, I think that really that's going to be the largest opportunity going forward, assuming we can get there, assuming it happens in an efficient time and an efficient cost fashion. It's import and export of product. Whether that product is IP or whether that product is a physical good, I believe that it's going to be that the Canadian industry has the opportunity to be a global leader in the landscape and really be able to import and export a variety of products and intelligence.
Really neat. Well, thanks again, Sasha, for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time, and stay in touch.
Thank you.